and welcome to TQ Talks, where we talk taxes and tax-free living 365. Here are your hosts, Craig White, Sebastian Singh, and Patrick Augustin.
And we're back with another TQ Talks.
And we are happy to be here. Guys, if you do not know, we are a tax and advisory firm. What that means is that we help our clients to reduce their tax liability by giving them important information about the tax law or increase their refund, whichever comes, which is easy and wonderful either way. And of course, we look at life insurance to help people to find ways they never thought about to create wealth and be tax-free as well. So it's awesome. We're happy to be back. As Pat just said, another episode is with us. We have, of course, Patrick with me today. Again, happy he's running with us the whole way. And, of course, Sebastian Singh. Mr. Bassi is with us as well.
What's up, everybody? We have a great topic for you today. We're going to jump into it to add to our podcast series that can be found everywhere at this point. So let's get into it.
Right. So we are talking about mistakes most business owners make. And again, this is important because a lot of our clientele during tax season are small business owners. That's really what we aim for. We talk to people. Of course, if you're growth mindset, you're with us, you've been with us, as I mumble through that, for the last 10, 12 years, you know, we don't care what you do, but we do think that everybody has the ability to be a small business or a small business owner. Whether you are pushing that full-time or part-time, it's definitely something you should take advantage of because the tax laws help you. And we actually did a podcast about that, so be aware of that. But this right here is something that we always notice that seems to be a problem. And we were talking about it earlier, and we noticed that Pat got pretty emotional about the fact that there are mistakes. Pat, take us through what's
Pat
going
is
on.
not emotional. Let's pull that off the podcast.
It's not being emotional. It's being right. You want to be a business owner, there's rules to this.
Okay.
Right.
You got to get your books in order. To do that, you got to hire a bookkeeper. You got to pay someone to do the work for you that you're not going to be able to do. Or focus on making money versus keeping your bookkeeping records in order.
So when you're preparing taxes, all right, and you get someone comes in, do they just drop a pile of paperwork on there, or what are they supposed to be giving you?
That happens. That happens.
I would prefer them to bring me a P&L statement.
Oh, wow. So now you're cursing at me on the podcast. So
What's
for
a
those who
P&L,
don't know
Pat?
what that is,
A profit and loss statement.
Right.
Pretty much your expenses versus your income.
Okay, got you.
Now, that's if they come at the end, right? But when you're taking care of their books throughout the year, you're just doing it.
I'm just doing it. All
They make their money.
Exactly.
We go in, look at the books, clear it up, do the P&L for the end of the year, and get them filed away.
Right.
That's
Does everyone need, again, you're the bookkeeper guy, but does everyone need a bookkeeper, seriously speaking?
Well, depend on their business, I would say.
Percentage. What you got?
For example, I spoke to a young lady a few months ago, and I think she's an esthetician or something.
I don't even know
nature.
what that is. Again, he's cursing.
That's okay. That's what she is. I don't know.
Does he estimate stuff out of what is that?
It's makeup.
Oh, okay.
and-
Wow.
and
Why, Jesus.
Makeup, facials,
Pat
things of that
dropping
nature.
words.
It's a large umbrella apparently of cosmetic.
Hold on? I need to write that down. I got to use that in something next week.
E.
Oh, it's an E?
It's an E.
Esthetician. I'm sorry, what'd you just call me?
But yeah, so this young lady came in, an
Sorry.
esthetician came in.
Hey.
So she called me, and then she's like, do I need a bookkeeper? And I asked her, what are your expenses versus your income, things of that nature. Her expenses were minimal. I said, if it's something that you could take an hour or two out of your Friday to get your books in order, you probably don't need me.
Got you. So you're looking at transaction loads.
Exactly,
And but are you looking at bank account statements? I don't,
But yeah, bank statements.
Okay, I got you.
Bank statements or credit card statements. If there's less than 10 transactions, I'm going to charge you $300 for what?
Right. I understand. Okay, got you. So it doesn't make any sense.
I shoot myself in the foot all the time, but
Yeah.
I could take the $300 from you and do the work in 2 minutes.
Right. But it doesn't make any sense. And obviously we're a good business.
And one important part of what Pat said was if you're willing to take that hour or two it takes.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not and you're like, listen, I don't care to do it. I don't want to do it. I also don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Pat's there.
So that's
do it for you.
another part, Bassie, that we know. So as Pat already talked about, you need to make sure that you know how to correctly track your income and expenses. The other part that I've noticed, as you talked about, is that they don't seem to understand the rules, right? They don't understand the rules of being a business owner.
Yeah.
Right.
So they just go into things and they come in, they don't know when to file, what to bring in, what counts as income, what counts as expenses. And I'll give an example of that. We see a lot of time people who have been converted or whatever it is or being treated as an S corporation turn around, and on their profit and loss, I see that they show that the what do you call it, disbursements to themselves, not paycheck, not W-2, but just taking out money as a deduction, as an expense. Right?
An owner's draw?
Yes, an owner's draw. That's what I was
draw.
looking for. Thank you. And I'm like, pause. That is not an expense. You don't get to write that off.
Right.
So knowing the rules, Sebastian, as you just talked about, to me is what I noticed. It's irritating-ish, but not really, because it's just lack of education like anything else, right? So our job is to educate them on those rules. Is there anything else you guys have noticed that they just don't seem to understand about business in general and taxes? Because, we don't expect them to know everything.
This sounds repetitive. I'm going to say it anyway. Commingling. Right? A lot of times you'll hear or you'll see it'll come in year after year where it's like, hey, some of my business expenses, I used my personal credit card. I didn't have room on my business credit card or my personal checking account, or, of course, things they buy. Oh, I bought this with the personal account.
Right.
Cash, whatever it may be, and there's no paper trail. There's no way to follow that and account for it properly.
Right. And also the time frames. Like we try to explain, and we do a lot of things during the year, of course, all the time.
Right.
It's 365.
It's hitting those deadlines,
right?
Yep.
Right. The deadlines. When do I pay? If you are a person that does retail, I got to pay my quarterly taxes or my monthly or whatever it is. Quarterly taxes for the feds, but I meant the other taxes if you're selling products and
Sales tax,
payroll. Right there you go, Pat. Again, that's your area. They don't do that. Right? They don't pay attention to those things when it's time to file taxes. We're telling you, they're saying April 15th. We're saying, no, March 15th,
right.
Your corp.
Well, the other thing I noticed, too, is that as a small business owner, or they try to be, is they apply for all these things and it doesn't suit their business model. They apply for a sales tax certificate. They're not selling anything.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And then now you're getting a letter from the Florida Department of Revenue
That you owe them.
Now you owe money.
Where's the money?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
You let them open the door,
Right.
Because you asked for the certificate.
Right.
I don't sell anything.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So
yeah, and that part is, again, we're not cracking a whip over here. What it is you have to do your due diligence to really figure out what you are doing as a business owner. And to your point,
all they got to do is consult someone that knows their stuff.
Just call us.
Yeah.
Just call us. Ask us.
right.
And at the end of the day, send in the paperwork.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Right. And so we had, we're doing our consultations. This is the fourth quarter of the year. And I had a great discussion with a person who had, or a group that had an Airbnb, right? And that was literally what the last comment was. You are now a business owner. You can't sort of hope and pretend everything sort of works out, right? You have to now be intentional about what you do. There's that word again, be intentional about what you're doing. And if you don't know, reach out to people that do.
That do know,
Yeah.
correct.
Right? So that brings up one other topic for me. And I know there's another thing you want to touch on, Pat, but be okay when it's time to pay.
Yeah.
You're a business owner. You have to pay to play. That statement applies to anything in life. If you want to be a business owner, be a whatever you want to be, you have to be willing to pay, whether it comes with money, time, effort, energy. You got to do it. If you don't want to do it, then maybe it's not for you. Or, like Pat said, get rid of the energy and the effort and the time and pay people like us to take care of all those things so you can go do what you have to do. But understand that something has to be sacrificed for you to be successful. It just has to be. That's part of business ownership, right?
The whole point is to bring in money.
Yeah.
So if you're bringing in money, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. If you have to pay taxes on it, the best way to reduce that liability is obviously to take your expenses and deductions. But you have to do it legally. You have to do it within the lines, and of course within the industries.
And another thing we want to touch on is you can't look at everything as a deduction.
Yeah. Yeah. That, boy. Listen.
Dead stop.
Yeah, okay. I will say that in our trainings, our workshops, that is something we are okay with saying, like, hey, you should, right? Because it's not, is it a deduction? It's how can it be?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's cool. But there has to be reasonable thought in what you're doing, right? So don't talk to me about your dog, and don't talk to me about whatever else is going on.
Or your every morning runs to Starbucks.
Right.
$12.
Right. If it has nothing to do with your business, right? So part of it is, yes, if we can figure out a way to make it work, man, listen, we're going to put it in. We're going to figure it out.
For sure.
Set up another business if we have to make you a courier so you can go pick up the Starbucks and write off the miles or whatever it is.
Well, now, if you're sitting in Starbucks for let's say a couple of hours doing some work, yes, we could write that off.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
It all depends on what's happening.
It all depends.
But we will say, don't do things for a deduction. Don't go out and buy a car just because. Don't like, it has to make sense, and we want you to use it for your business.
We're going to touch on another topic on the next one that you just gave me. It's a great topic. So guys, again, to wrap this one up briefly, everyone, as we talked about in another podcast, can be a business, but you have to understand there are big mistakes that people make that cost their businesses money. And Basti already said it. You're in a business to make money. That's the point, is to be profitable. Part of it is definitely to take stock, as Patrick talked about, of the expenses you have. Use the people around you and the tools around you to make sure you're doing a good job of knowing what those expenses are and correctly keeping track of them. Profits and loss, right? P&Ls, as he talked about.
Yep.
Understanding.
No
commingling. You might talk about QuickBooks or some other document, or what do you call those things? Some application that you can use to help you.
Right.
Or you hire a bookkeeper, right? Not everything is a deduction, even though we always say, and I'll repeat it again in case you missed it the first time, it's not is it a deduction, it's how can it be. So it can be. But you also have to learn the rules of what it is so you know how to follow and how to apply everything to your daily life. Because at the end of the day, being a business owner is a 24/7 gig. All right?
What I like to say about that, if you don't move your feet, you don't eat.
Don't eat. So again, thank you guys for joining us for another podcast. We hope that this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, again, reach us on our websites, tqfinancials.com. Give us a call, 800-413-1456.
And be sure to comment, like, share, especially if this has been beneficial to you. You already know it can help somebody else.
Definitely. Thank you guys, and we'll see you
And
again.
I'm on the podcast.
10 million views coming, right? Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Later.
Thank you for listening to TQ Talks. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information at tqfinancials.com.